Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Monday night stream. See if I can avoid having the microphone drop on me. I hope you've had a really good weekend and a good start to the week. There we go. I can see myself. Hopefully you can see me as well. And yeah, it's been an interesting week today. I've had. I always like sharing things that happen in my own life because even though it might seem different than how your life is, it can give people like a, hey Catherine, nice to see you. It can give people, you usually hide in the chat. It's nice to see you say hi. And it's nice to have you here. By the way, do you have anything you'd like to touch on? Because I wanted to talk about nostalgia today otherwise. It was something, like I said, it's something that happened to me today. And I like bringing those things up because they're kind of fresh in my mind, and it's something that I just went through and I saw, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a good thing to share, unless there's someone in chat who has something that they want to bring up, and then I'm always open to discussing that as well. In the end, it's all the same thing. I feel I'm usually watching while at work, which is why I do not chat much. Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. I'm honored that you keep me on as background sound. I remember in the old days, you used to have the, hey Stephen, nice to see you as well. You used to have the radio running in the background. And it was kind of just like a background noise, and there would be programs and they discuss stuff, and I always liked that when I was at work. Yeah, that seemed like a long time ago. So I guess the new version of that is listening to a live stream on YouTube. Yeah, nostalgia. Unless someone brings something else up. And combined with nostalgia, something that I think is very easy to forget is that we're so used to just wanting to get away from difficult emotions or things that we find difficult that we forget that those difficult things are actually the best pointer that you can have towards where the sense of identity is, the thing that is actually hurting you. In other words, it's not the difficult emotions that are really the problem. The problem are that they're protecting something inside of you. There is some part of you that those emotions are trying to protect or uphold. And I just had such an experience yesterday with contact with something that I have been fortunately not have to deal with lately, but it's a deep wound or gash in my heart. I almost said, it's something that just touches a deep core of myself that has a lot of distortion and a lot of difficult emotions attached to it. It has to do with some relatives that are being, let's just say they're being mean to my mother, and it's a difficult thing for me to deal with. And yesterday there was a message, and I could see immediately how that caused a lot of friction inside of me for no really apparent reason. It wasn't really any message at all. It was just like a photos. It was nothing with a message, but I had a big part of myself tied into this relationship that is highly uncomfortable. And before, I would have seen that as something that was just, I don't want this. I should take this away, and I would be upset with them. Just bring that away so I don't have to look at this because it hurts. Because if you know what it feels like to have something difficult show up, it's really painful. It's really sorry, I'm just going to turn down the air conditioner. It's really painful to sit with that feeling, and it's something that we just want to run away from. We don't want to sit and feel that because it's uncomfortable and it's not fun, and it seems like it's just making us feel bad. But when you learn how to observe those difficult feelings and emotions without suppressing them, not expressing them, but also not just wallowing in it and just like, oh, it's so nice to feel bad. Like that's not what we're doing either. There's a special way of using your awareness. You can observe difficult emotions and they will just dissolve. And basically what it comes down to is not resisting. It's just allowing those feelings to come up. And when you do, there's absolutely nothing there because it's just a friction in the body that just doesn't really exist. There's no absolute to it. Your reaction to any circumstance emotionally is not absolute. It's just how you're choosing to react right now. Whether you have a choice or not choice in that matter is one thing, but there's a lot of inertia how you've decided to choose in the past or been taught how to choose in the past. Not choose, to react, I should say. So if you're able to observe this without going with it. And this can take time. Like I remember in the past, I would get once per year, like I've had this the last few years, once per year, pretty much regularly once per year. There's been one big thing. Hey, JVB, nice to see you as well. There's been one big thing that has just really knocked me off my just comfortable path of being alive. It's just been really difficult to deal with. And that could take me several weeks sometimes to get through, because it was just so deeply rooted, and I didn't really know how to handle it or how to overcome it. And I remember Marilyn would always be like, "Oh, you talk so much about letting go of these things and just feeling them, but now you can't do it." I'm like, no, that's fine, because I'm aware that sometimes that takes a lot of time. They can take a lot of time to process and go through it and actually let it flow through. But this thing that happened now the other day, that was much easier for me to let go of that. And if you've seen this yourself, you've probably been aware that you had something difficult happen in your life, and the first time you run through it, it really overwhelms you, and you just go completely bogged down and carried away with it, and you feel bad for days or weeks or months or maybe even years if it's something big. But then you go beyond that. You've felt that, and you're like, okay, this is not so bad. Like, and then the next time it comes up, it's still there. It's not that it's gone. It's just that, oh, it's getting too cold in here. It's just that it doesn't have the same kind of weight, the same kind of pull behind it. Pull behind it. It doesn't pull you in as much as it did before. So it's still there, and it's still reacting to it, but it doesn't affect you the same way. This then lets you see the part of you that is protecting, because that friction, that distortion is protecting some identity of yours, of what you think is right or what you think is wrong or whatever it is. And if people go against that, then I should feel bad about that. So when you do that and you're able to feel it and not push against, what's left is that, oh, this is the thing that's a problem. It becomes quite easy to see when it's something so strong. If it's something weak, like, oh, I don't like whole meat flour on my bread. I don't like that. I like the I don't know what you call the fully processed flour instead. Like, that's the flour I like. And you have an aversion towards that. That's so weak, very likely, unless it isn't. Maybe that's a big deal for you. But whatever it is, then that's much easier to handle. The problem is, of course, that it doesn't give you something so clearly to look at. So those big, difficult things actually are a better spotlight to shine a light on that part in you that is feeling bad, that you need to look at, that you need to surrender and give up and accept. I like to think of the saying that Thich Nhat Hanh says. I always say there's a lot of stuff I disagree with how he teaches, but there are some incredible quotes. And one of them is "No mud, no lotus." And he said he has, like, I can't do his accent, but he's a Vietnamese man, so it's like "No mud, no lotus." It's just super sweet when he says it, and it just really, it sounds really solid when he says it. And it is, meaning that you need to have that friction to actually see where the sense of self is, so you can get rid of it. So you can observe that part of you that you're trying to protect. And if you do that, then there becomes, what's left is clarity. You'll notice that it's just easier to stay aware of your surroundings, to be in a good mood and just be here and just enjoy life, because life is pretty amazing. It's just that we keep messing it up the whole time. Now, I started this with talking about nostalgia. And nostalgia is the feeling of thinking of something from the past that makes us go like, oh, I miss the past. I remember how it was when I was a child. There's a really nice feeling. And you have a feeling related to that. And it's usually a very comfortable, cozy feeling. And that would seem like a really good thing to have, right? Like it's a cozy, comfortable feeling. I feel comfortable. I like this. And that seems like something we should strive for. But that is actually a friction as well. And I'll explain why that is a problem, because you might say, well, I don't care. I like that feeling, so I'm just going to keep having it. So I was out walking with Marilyn earlier, my fiancée. And we were walking, and then we went into the forest, and we had a really nice time together, just really relaxed talking. And there's also this thing when one person is feeling really non-centric, feeling good and feeling like they're enjoying being there and appreciating being around, it kind of seeps over to the person next to you. It's almost like it's contagious. If one person feels that way, then the other person would feel that way as well. And it's difficult for someone to be in a bad mood when you're feeling like that, because they have to kind of either come up to that way of experiencing life, or they have to try to pull you down. I actually had someone try to pull me down this morning at work who was in a really big mood, and I could feel like how they really wanted to have that friction and distortion. Like I wasn't having any of it because it's like it's not relevant to me. So they could keep on doing that, and that's fine. It wasn't that I was telling her like, oh, you're so like you shouldn't feel this. Like, no, that's okay. People are experiencing reality in different ways, and there's no reason why you need to change other people's experience of reality. But there's also no reason why you need to match their way of experiencing reality and kind of go down to feel like, oh yeah, it's heavy, it's so unfair, and it's so bad, and like all of that stuff. There's no reason to do that, even though it might seem like it, because we almost feel bad when we're feeling good and other people are feeling bad. So I was out walking with Mara Lang, and we just had a really nice time, like just enjoying ourselves, and we're very relaxed. And then we came into, there's a forest that I walk in, which is gorgeous, like absolutely beautiful. And I have this route that I walk around here. It takes me about 45 minutes to, it can take me 2 hours to go, depending on how slowly I walk. Sometimes I walk very slowly and stop a lot. And then at the end, there's a forest, depending on how I go. There's a forest that I can go into the forest, and there's like big pine trees, and there's like oaks and all kinds of forest. It's just beautiful. So I'll go in there, and it's just so nice. And I know when I come in there, especially when it's sunset, and I've had this feeling, oh, it's just so nice to be here. And I see how beautiful everything is. And every time I go in and I'm not feeling that, I go, why am I not feeling that here? Because why am I not experiencing this place as beautifully as I know that it is, as perfect, as just divine almost. It's just magical to be there. Why am I not experiencing that? And then there's always some part of me that's resisting. So it could be an uncomfortable feeling here. It could be that I'm upset about something. It could be that something happened that I haven't let go of, or whatever it is that is making it difficult for me to really see the beauty of that place. Now, we had been walking, and we had just been having a good time. And I said, oh, this spot, this is one of my favorite spots. And it's big pine trees it's really silent, and it's a hill, and there's like no plants growing. If you know a pine forest, they kind of shed their pine needles and they kill off all the plants. It's just like a kind of like a carpet, or moss can be there sometimes. And the light comes in the evening and makes these cones go down, and it's dark with cones of light coming in. Absolutely magical. And I was standing there like, oh, this is so nice, but I can't really see it the way it normally is. And she was next to me, and then there was I couldn't see it there, but then all of a sudden there was a big root of a tree that had been cut down. And you might recognize this, how you look for something and you're not really there, and then all of a sudden something catches your eye, and you look at that thing and go like, wow, this thing is gorgeous. And I was looking and really appreciating and really enjoying looking at this moldy, rotten, old, like, what do you call that, stub of a tree? No, a root of a tree that's been cut off. I don't know the name for it. And I was looking at that, I was like, that's so gorgeous. And then she started feeling it also. She's like, oh yeah, this makes me, hey Mats, nice to see you. This gives me that nice nostalgia feeling of thinking of what it was like when I was, tree trunk, yes, thank you. What it was like, is that what it's called when it's cut off also? Or is that the actual tree trunk? This gives me this nice cozy feeling of before. And then she said, yeah, and it's a shame that we have our phones with us so much now, and that we're not really out in nature. And immediately she said that, I said like, well, you know, that's just the self getting in the way, like making sure you're not being here. And she's like, oh yeah, you're right. And then she completely dropped that also. So there was this thing going on with her nostalgia for thinking about, oh, it's so nice because she had kind of dropped in and seeing the beauty of the tree trunk. But then all of a sudden she started in and going in and analyzing it. The mind got in, like thinking, oh, when I was a child, it was so beautiful in the forest. We didn't have any telephones. The kids today, it's so sad for them. And it's sad for me as well, because I use my phone. I'm not really here in nature. There's some part of me, and then she started going in and trying to analyze this. How aware do you think she was of her surroundings right then? Do you think she noticed the smells of the pine cones, which, like the pine trees, the sap smells really special, and the birds singing and the light coming down, and just the smell in the air, and just the calmness being there? No, she was now going into her mind, making a story of how, oh yes, like she believes in the right thing, like you should not have your phone, and the mind was bringing her, basically the sense of self was trying to identify and grab onto this experience and say that, yes, this is so special being here with my partner, and then viewing this tree trunk and seeing the beauty of just being here. So I need to own this. I actually know that part of the reason why I'm not able to fully experience this is because we have phones, and so we shouldn't have phones, and the children shouldn't have phones, and then poof, off she went. Now, there was a nice feeling with that, and she described that as well. She's like, yeah, that's a nice feeling. I liked how that felt. But when we said that and she started looking at that, that makes absolute sense. I never thought about it this way, but I'm actually making sure that I'm not here. I'm making sure that I'm not experiencing the beauty of reality as it is right now, but instead that I'm off in some fantasy about what life should be like and what life, unfortunately, is not like now, because now we have all these technologies that make it so that we're not experiencing the world, and then, which is true. I'm not saying that's false. I'm just saying that that story, that feeling that she was kind of drifting away with, that was not helping her being here. In her mind, she was describing later that, and if you don't know her story, she was really into spirituality before, going in and understanding the self, and like analyzing all these feelings and trying to understand them and see the part of herself that kind of like, not quite what we're saying here, but more a analytical thing, kind of like when we go in and look at, okay, what part of your identity, that's not to figure out is right, is wrong. It's like, oh, they did this, like that doesn't matter. We're just seeing what part of your identity that's being protected, and so we can drop it. The problem is people get too addicted in their devices. That is a problem, but what you're missing, Stevie, is that her thinking that and feeling that meant that she wasn't there. So her nostalgia, her feeling of exactly what you're saying, was the very thing that brought her out of the present. It was the very thing that made sure that she couldn't be here, because now she was off in this cozy feeling and she was not aware of her surroundings, and I could almost feel her drop out of it. And then when she kind of came back, then it was just, we were walking along and everything looked different. And she said herself, like, I can't believe it. We just walked here like 20 minutes ago and now it looks like we're in freaking like fairyland. What the heck happened? Because it was so different. Same place, nothing, it was 20 minutes or half an hour apart. It was just really short times. It was not that it was different, but she was different. She had stopped resisting the reality. She had stopped going around having all this friction, and then she realized, okay, well, there's still something here. There's a tension here, like here. I have that a lot as well. And then there's like even further down below the navel is a point where you usually have it. And that feeling was uncomfortable. So because of that, she was not able to fully be there. And then we could kind of look at that, and it was a really nice experience to see her in her mind and senses be able to see that, wait a minute, the thing I think is helping, this cozy feeling, is actually ruining my experience of life. We don't think so because we value these cozy feelings very highly, like the nostalgia. I used to love nostalgia. I mean, that's why people buy old Nintendo games and play like retro games and stuff, because we like to feel like when we were kids, but we're not actually here when we do that, when we drift away from reality. Now it's a much nicer feeling than going around being angry or being bitter or stuff like that, for sure. But even those comfortable feelings, even those cozy feelings, is something that pulls us out of being here, something that pulls us out of the present. So when you're out walking and you're going on, what tends to happen is we go into all these mind stories. And I don't want to say mind stories because it's actually an emotional story. When you have a story that you're telling in your mind, if you really look what's happening, you're getting some comfortable feelings that you're following around, and that's kind of pulling you left and right, that you associate with. And that's why you're thinking these thoughts, because they make you feel comfortable. You like that feeling. So you're drifting away in thoughts. You're not really, drifting away in feelings, not really drifting away in thoughts. And it can be quite offensive or difficult to look at this, because the self will go like, hey, what are you talking about? I know I'm doing the right thing. I am now observing this. I'm breaking it down. I'm watching my ego, and they have this story, but anything but actually touch that part that makes it so that you're not really here, because the self obviously doesn't want to be here. If it would be, then it would disappear. Like it has no weight. It has no power over you when you're just present, because then it doesn't really exist. It thrives on the drama, it thrives on the friction, it thrives on this past, future, and really having a relationship to that. So you're anywhere but here. So it will tell you stories. It will make up all these grand ideas. And just like Stephen said here, the problem is that people get too addicted in the devices. Absolutely true. I'm not I'm not saying against that at all, but the problem becomes when you're then thinking about that, thinking that, yeah, I'm so much better because I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm really present. I'm really watching YouTube videos that are much better. I'm out observing my breath and I'm doing all these things. And like, are you actually observing reality? No, now we're off in this story. It's a better story that leads you towards something that's a bit nicer, but we're still doing the same thing. And I'm not saying this specifically to Stephen. I'm saying this to make you see that when you're lost in these thoughts about, oh, what is it going to be like when I've overcome this, when I've like become enlightened, or when I've figured out how this part of my dark shadow side is like, all those stories is just pulling you away from this experience of being here, from just experiencing reality as it is. And they're so seductive and they're so easy to get caught up in and not feeling roller coaster. Feeling roller coaster. What do you mean, Stephen? A feeling roller coaster. Yes, exactly. It's a feeling roller coaster. It likes to have that because the self likes that. It makes you feel alive. I mean, we were also discussing how we've been together for 10 years and it's really just getting, our relationship is getting stronger and stronger for every year, like the opposite of what I've been used to having. And we talked about how some people, like, they just need the excitement of something new. And there was someone who was like 6 years old who had met someone who was 30. It's kind of like, how would that work, like having a relationship? I don't know how. If I would meet someone, I'm 48, if I would meet someone, well, they would be 18. But say they were 25, like there's such an age gap that it would be very difficult to have a relationship. I can understand if someone has like just a sexual relationship, but actually getting into a relationship where you kind of hang out with that person, it would be very strange. Unless you're looking for that high, for that like excitement, for that thing, then yes, then it makes sense. But that, of course, is something that never lasts, that you can't keep up with. And so that's why people keep jumping from the one thing and then the next thing and then they want the next thing, and it never stops. So it's an emotional roller coaster or a feeling roller coaster, instead of actually just learning how to enjoy being with the person you're with. I mean, you can be happy with most people. It's just some people are much easier. Some people are easier to do that with than others because there's less friction. And at the same time, that friction can be a really good thing sometimes because it helps you let go of whatever is like resisting inside of you for actually just being here with the other person. It will show you that part of you. So nostalgia might seem like something that's a really good thing and that we all enjoy feeling, but it really does lock you out of the present. It makes sure that you can't be here because it's trying to pull you somewhere else, even though it's a nice feeling. If we would say, oh, I remember how I was bullied when I was in high school or when I was in preschool or whatever. It was like, yeah, that feeling I don't want. That's not a nice feeling. Take that one away. That one, throw that one away. That way we can clearly see how that's ruining our experience of reality. But nostalgia might seem like that's actually helping you, but it is actually making sure that you can't be here right now. And as always, when I say that, I want to point out we're not trying to not feel nostalgia. We're not trying to then push it down or to express it and go and buy like old computer games and whatever. Like for me, that's nostalgia at least. Whatever is nostalgia for you. We're also not trying to be neutral towards it. We're trying to see how, hey, wait a minute, this nostalgia, what's behind there? Or there's a part of, I liked how I felt when I was younger. There was something about my youth that felt nicer, and that part of me that felt nicer, I missed that part. So I believe that I can get that part back if I have this thing that makes me think of the past. And then we go looking for these things in that, because in the past, then when I was younger, I hadn't lost my innocence, my curiosity of life. There was something that we can then relate to with that feeling. So we kind of go on these tangents instead of just looking and feeling, oh, what is this? What's actually happening here? And letting go of that part of you. In other words, not trying to squash or not feel nostalgia, because then that would be just disassociating. Like, don't do that. That's bad. Like, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. Instead, you're allowing yourself to feel it with that special awareness. And this is something that's difficult to explain just like this, because it takes a long time to understand how to use your mind in such a way. No. How to use your feelings in such a way to actually be aware of your feelings, but letting them diffuse while you're doing that. And that's something that just takes a lot of time, and it's a skill, and it's different for whatever it is that you're facing, but the skill is very similar. So once you figure this out, it's just a matter of doing that with this thing, and then that thing, and then a memory comes up of this, and then you kind of clean that memory. So like the emotional connection they have, that, oh, I need to feel this, but that gets washed. Or then you do kind of like what people think of as shadow work. You bring the difficult things come up, and you look at that, and you have a emotional connection towards that, and you let go of that. And you start focusing on really enjoying and appreciating how it is to be alive here, right now, which is really nice, actually, especially when you let that go. It's so obvious when you start doing this, and when you start understanding how easy it is to just enjoy being here. The problem is, as I said, there's a lot of inertia with old feeling patterns that we have towards certain things, and in the beginning they keep being triggered and keep coming up, and we need to also understand what this really is. And it's very easy to misunderstand and think that, oh yeah, I'm doing this because I'm being in the present moment. And what people actually mean with the present moment is usually, when I sit down and have a talk to people, it's very different than what I'm saying when I'm saying that. So I tend to not use the term present moment, because it usually means something very different for people. Usually, not always, but most of the time. So look into how aware you are of surroundings, how easy it is to just look, and when you look at whatever you look at, to see like, oh, this feels nice. It's nice to look at this. Looking at, like, I'm looking here at the light up there with the sun coming in. It's like the most beautiful painting I've ever seen. Everything just becomes beautiful when you're in this state of not resisting reality, not wanting to change reality, but just accepting reality. Feeling comfortable in your body, and that's a big part of it as well, because when you start resisting everything, this feeling drops away, and you just feel comfortable in your body. And for a lot of people, that's something they just don't know what that's like. What is it like to really be comfortable being in my body? What is it like to constantly not constantly have that friction with the world, needing to change now, needing this now to be different, negotiating with the universe to bring you the things you want, and just letting go and just enjoying being here. And it's so easy when you do it, but the problem again is that there's so much inertia, so we need to almost wash all these memories, all these, I don't want to say triggers, but these emotional connections that we have, so that you can really be here and just experience reality as it is. Can you see this happening in your own life some way? I mean, I talk of me, but obviously I'm not important to you. What should be important to you is you. So when I say these things, I want you to also think about yourself. Can you notice how you're going off into these emotional dreams or emotional feeling roller coasters, like Stephen? I like that, feeling roller coaster. That's quite a good description of what it is. It's a roller coaster of feelings that we can go up and down with, instead of just being here. And it makes you feel alive when you have those things, but just stopping it all, just standing still and not moving. I don't mean that as in physically not moving, but I mean that as in here not moving. You don't need to run anywhere else. You don't need to get to the next thing. You don't need to do all these things. You can just be here, and that's enough. That's all you need to do. And then life becomes quite enjoyable when you do that. So really look into your own life and see how you can do this, how you can start noticing the moments when you start being pulled away from being here, and how maybe you have a really good story defending this view that, like, no, well, I'm doing this because, and then you have some good story like, well, it's because of my past. I'm looking into my inner soul and clearing out my black magic. I almost said not black magic. I mean my shadow work and stuff. Whatever story you're telling yourself, just look at that and see that the self and the ego is incredibly skilled and talented at making sure that you do absolutely everything but observe what's happening right now, so that it can stay alive. I am feeling really tired, so let's get on with the meditation today. Monday, guided meditation. I enjoy these chats. It's always nice to talk about something that's relatable to everyone, and I'm hoping that even though we're not seeing each other face to face, that you can actually get the idea that I'm trying to share with you, and that you can do this for yourself, even though you're on the other side of the screen, and can see like, okay, yeah, I can recognize this. I do this, but with something else. So before we do the meditation, today we'll actually have time to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. I feel like I've been talking so long usually lately that we haven't had much time for that. There we go, a little bit of cooling before we sit. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is a way of coming back into our senses. And we do this by focusing first on 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole idea behind it is that we're so used to being lost in these feeling roller coasters or emotional roller coasters that we forget our senses. Because what happens when you stop being absorbed in all of your emotions and feelings is that then the senses come to the forefront. All of a sudden, you're able to notice what's around you. You're able to smell the smells around you better. You're able to see what's happening around you all the time. And you realize that there's actually a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment just by the very nature of observing reality. Not that it's a beautiful painting, but just by experiencing reality, that very experience of itself is enjoyable. There's a lot of enjoyment in life. It's just that we block and we put all these obstacles in the way that say that you need to first do this and achieve this, then you can have a short, brief moment of enjoyment until we go on with the next one. So by coming back to our senses, it really makes it easier to do this. And I'll say out aloud 5 things that I can see around me, and then you can say them out aloud on your end as well. So it's a matter of you're doing it for you, of course. Obviously, if you would say out the things that I see, it wouldn't make any sense. So 5 things that we can see. I see a beautiful beam of light shining in, and I can see the light curving around the objects that it's hitting. I can see the shadows. I can see the warmth of the color. I can almost feel the warmth of the light. I can see the reflections on the leaves. And I can see how it's painting like a silhouette on the wall. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Really, really beautiful. So I'm not just trying to see it. I'm trying to see all the breaking it down into its components, meaning without feeling like, oh, this is so nice, it's so beautiful, I'm so lucky to be in this room and I'm so safe. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual raw details of vision, like what that looks like. I see a pair of shoes. I see a old computer. I see my thermos. And I see hair on my arm. That was 5 things that I could see. Next we take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel my hand touching my neck. I took a shower earlier, so it's very soft. I can feel my woolen sofa. I can feel it with my hand and I can feel it with my whole arm. I can feel the calluses on my foot. And I can feel a bit of itching in my mustache, like underneath the nose. There's 4 things that I could feel. Next we take 3 things that we can hear. I hear birds singing outside. I hear the air conditioner in here. And I hear cars passing by outside. There's 3 things that I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell strawberry or some kind of fruity scent. I can smell a bit of sweat. Two things that I could smell. Next we have one thing that we can taste. I can taste strawberries because we had strawberries before. That was one thing that I could taste. So as always, I want you to start focusing on your breath, just to be aware of what it feels like when breath is going in and out of your body. Most of the time, I am not focusing on the actual sensations of the breath moving through my nostrils, but instead of the awareness that breath is happening in the body, just as a field of movement, moving around all the time. And the reason we do this is not to gain super sharp concentration, even though it helps with that, but actually to give us an anchor, something that we can stay with throughout the day, something that is easy to follow, because what we ultimately want to do is to be aware of our emotions. We want to be aware of that field of emotions that's constantly shifting, reacting to the world around us. Just as it happened to Marilyn today when she had that feeling of nostalgia, if she had not had her senses trained to observe what does it feel like with the emotion I'm going through now, she would have just reacted on that and maybe started feeling a little bit sad, a little bit down, but in a good way, and kind of felt cozy with that and started drifting off in her mind about what it was like when I was a child and how nice it was to be with your parents and feeling safe and not have to think about all the things we need to think about as adults. And it's very easy to miss that. It's very easy to drift away into those emotions and completely miss being here. So by training up our ability to just observe the breath, it helps you to do the thing we're really trying to do, which is to observe your emotions, to observe the feelings that are constantly rippling through your body, so that you can be aware that you're walking around being in a good mood, and then all of a sudden you start feeling a lot of tension. There's a lot of contraction in your chest, and there's a uncomfortable vibration going on in your solar plexus that makes you feel almost nauseous. And then you look over to your side and there's that person you really dislike. Or actually you start disliking them because you see them when you're feeling like this. And you put the connection to that person as doing this, whereas in fact there was something that happened inside of you. There was something that made you start pushing against that part of your identity that says that when that person or someone who has those qualities or traits, then I should feel bad. In other words, what you're saying is that you value feeling bad for some reason. Usually we do it to punish the other person so they can see how bad they are, or so that because we believe we need to feel bad when they're not who we think they should be. And that's more valuable than life. It's more valuable than experience what it's like to actually be here. So we keep constantly pulling ourselves away from being here, judging other people, whether that's in a good or a bad way. I like this, I don't like that. Constantly emotionally judging the world around us, constantly trying to change and negotiate, making the world a little bit different so that I can be happy, instead of just choosing to be happy. Instead of just seeing that the only thing that stands between you and happiness is you. You're the only thing in the way. You don't need to have $1 million. You don't even need to have a house or a home. You can be happy being homeless. I've seen lots of homeless people who seem much happier than the average person. Also seen a lot of homeless people who are absolutely miserable. In other words, it's not your circumstances that decide whether you're happy and enjoy life. It's how you relate to life that decides that. And the first step to changing that is to start observing when your emotions shift, what is going on, the mechanism behind it, how you decide that is somehow worth it to sabotage this moment because all of a sudden when you were driving, someone honked the horn at you and just drove away. You'll never see them again. You have no idea who they are. But them doing that is absolutely worthy for you to start feeling bad. It's worth to trade your happiness, your enjoyment of life, your appreciation of the nice morning sitting in the car because someone decided to honk their horn at you. That trade makes a lot of sense for the self because it's what keeps the sense of self alive. That friction is exactly what makes sure that you can never be here. It's what locks you out of the present, of just being here. It might seem a trivial thing to do, like it won't make any difference. And in the beginning, that might actually be true because it takes some time before you start understanding what to actually do. But the more you start tuning your awareness into saying like, hey, my baseline of life, my base experience of life should be to enjoy life. It should be to just walk around and be in a good mood. When you stop listening to all the social conditioning, all the people around you saying like, no, you can't be happy now because look at the state of the world, or look at this thing here, or you don't have a job, you don't have a partner, you don't have a home, or you do have a partner, oh my goodness, are you married? Oh, poor you. Whatever it is that the people around your society is telling you that you should feel bad or feel good about, it's just social conditioning. There's nothing that says that you need to feel that way just because that happens. You can actually choose to be here. Because being in a bad mood is impossible if you're right here, right now. It's mutually exclusive. You can't be in a bad mood and experience the present moment. Just not possible. You can't be present right here, right now, and being in a bad mood because the bad mood requires time. It requires you to push against this moment. Otherwise, everything just is. There are no problems. There's no friction. There's no drama. There's nothing to be angry about. Everything just is. And the world is beautiful. It's perfect, just as it is. And then you move something in it and you marvel at how incredible it is that you can actually exist and move around in this divine space almost. This beautiful world that we all live in. One step at a time. Just be aware of how you're feeling now and start noticing when you're choosing to not experience now. And the way that you choose is by emotionally judging or emotionally reacting to your environment. So just sit down and start noticing what emotions are flying through your emotional roller coaster. What's happening inside of you right now, and can you choose to just enjoy being here, no matter what your circumstances or your life story is telling you. Just check in and be aware of what you're experiencing right now. Are you in a good mood? Is it maybe a bit of a nostalgic, sad mood? Maybe you drifted off into some emotional fantasy. If that's the case, then just bring your awareness back to your breath. See if you can enjoy what it's like to just breathe. See if you can appreciate the feelings of movement of air just as it's happening. Air is going in and air is going out. And just be here, right now, experiencing what's happening right now. Nothing added, nothing taken away. Just the raw experience of being here. Thank you for tonight's sitting and for a nice discussion before. I wish you a really pleasant start to the summer, or summer started some time ago maybe, I guess. At least here in Sweden it's really starting now. So I hope you have a great week and enjoy the summer, and I will see you all back on Thursday. I thought that I would have to cancel one meditation today, but Marlene got sick. So I'm actually doing both meditations this week, and I hope I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you very much.